Jen here with The Secret Garden. Today I'm going to step you through making a wreath for your door or even as a centerpiece on a table, and we're going to use some succulent cuttings to do that. So let's get started. All right, this is what we're making, and if you picked up a kit from us, what you'll have is your wreath form that we have already gone ahead and attached the moss to. We did that with a spray adhesive product. There are multiple brands. I'm not married to any one of them, but a spray adhesive works really, really well. Spray the wreath form, press down the moss, you're good to go. I have used a glue gun for that purpose in the past. The only problem is that the glue gun glue does not hold up really well in cold temperatures. You'll find that it tends to just loosen up and fall off, so the spray adhesive works the best. And then also in your kit, you'll find a really nice selection of succulents that we have gone ahead and cut for you. So we have just given a nice little snip to a whole bunch. There is wire in your kit. This is a 20 gauge wire. Gauge has to do with the thickness of the wire, and 20 gauge works really, really well in that it's strong enough to go through the stem of the succulent and not be flimsy and bend, but still be pliable enough to function with and to attach around the wreath form. So we gave you enough of that for all your succulents, plus one or two just in case. You've also got some what we call wood wool in your kit, and that is to add a little bit of whimsical straw moss look coming out, so you can use that as you like. And then we also gave you this really cute ceramic ornament. These are handmade here locally in Sacramento, and we thought it just finished it off nicely. So that's what's in the kit. The only thing that you could use that maybe you have at home would be a pair of wire cutters. If you don't have that, we're going to cover how to bend the wire back, but wire cutters would be great. All right, you ready to get started? Me too. All right, so let me just get set up here. I'm going to go, let's see, we're going to go this way. Working upside down is not always the easiest thing. So why don't we do this? Why don't we start with putting the wire into the succulent? We will cover that first, and then we'll go into placement. All right, so when you get a succulent cutting, you're going to have a nice little stem piece left over at the bottom. If that's not long enough to work with, you can just break one of the leaves off, a couple of the leaves off, to get yourself more stem to work with. Don't throw these away though, because they can grow to be a whole other plant, so we'll save those for later. All right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of your wire and you're going to hold your succulent firmly, and you're just going to, don't go all the way up at the top, kind of go maybe halfway down the stem towards the end of the stem and where the succulent leaves start, and just wiggle this through till it comes out the other side. Can you see that? And I'm going to send that all the way in and then bend it up. And now I have a succulent wired on to a wire. Succulent stuck onto a wire. All right, if I was going to make a bouquet with these, I could then floral tape that, but that's not necessary for what we're gonna do. So if you do this with all of your succulents and get them all done, that's a great way to start so that you have your whole palette out in front of you, ready to play before we get started. Then the next thing I want to show you, and I'm going to jump ahead here because what you're going to be doing, I'm just going to talk while you're wiring your succulents. Okay, I want to talk to you about what will happen 3 months from now. The succulents on your wreath will continue to grow. And one of the things that succulents are really good at is surviving. So what they're going to do is they're not getting water or enough water from you potentially, and so they're going to send out roots looking for water. Now here's the same one that I just showed you that I put a wire through. This is one that I put into the wreath. There's a blank spot right there. That I put into that wreath about 2 months ago. Can you see all of this root action going on here? So this succulent cutting has sent out all these roots because we haven't been watering this. It's been looking for water. And the reason I tell you that is 3 or 4 months from now, some of the succulents on here will have stretched a little bit. They might not be looking their absolute best, but the next thing to do is to undo the wire, pull the wire out, and then go transplant this plant, okay? And if any of the leaves just happen to break off by accident while you're doing that, remember that you can set this leaf down anywhere on a dish somewhere. It doesn't want to be in the sun. It can even just be on a windowsill, and just let it hang out. And while it's hanging out, it's going to send roots out looking for water. So the whole part of the succulent can be reused again. All right, so you're working hard. You're getting all your succulents wired. I cheated and did some of mine ahead of time. Okay, so here are those. Keep going. I want to show you another one. This one we took off of another wreath. The stem of this was so skinny that we couldn't stick the wire through it, or we would have just broken the stem of the plant. So what we did instead is we wrapped the wire around it a couple of times and we attached it that way. Okay, so there are ways to work around it. Now this is one of those pork and bean succulents, and you can see how much it has grown since we put it in the wreath. It started off a piece about this big. It has been out here in the workshop actually hanging out on a wreath, and it wasn't getting quite enough light. So the one thing that succulents will do when they're not getting enough light is they stretch towards the light, and that's why this one's looking a little funky. But I also want you to notice the serious root growth that's been going on this one too. So if I had this plant and now he looks kind of funny because he's grown like that, I would just pinch this back. I could use this again, transplant this, or use it again on the wreath. And this one, if I just set it out, what's it gonna do? That's right, it's gonna grow roots. So now you have 2 plants instead of 1. So the succulents that you use on your wreath form, know that at some point in time, they might not look perfect on the wreath anymore. Take them, undo the wire from the back, take them off, and you will find other uses for those. All right, so you've gone ahead with your box of succulent cuttings and your wire, and you have wired all of them. The next thing to do is to place where you want them to go on your wreath. Now, when you're working flat like this, you're not taking necessarily into consideration how it's going to hang when it's in this orientation. So every once in a while, as you're imagining where you want your succulent to go, I want you to be thinking that it's actually going to be in this orientation. And all you're going to do now is take your succulent and wire it around. Oh, actually what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add in a little of this. You can do it one at a time. This is just for whimsy. And then we're going to attach that in the back. You want to pull hard enough so that you can attach it firmly, but not so strong that you damage the stem of the succulent. I'm doing this in this orientation for your benefit. It would be way easier if I flipped it upside down. So let me finish it off that way. Okay, so there's the first one attached on. And what I was saying about orientation is it's one thing to see it like this, it's another thing to see it like that. So you can decide, do I want this succulent, maybe my next one, do I want it up higher, tucked up in here? Or do I want it down there? Or do I want it, you know, in the middle? You get to decide that. But every once in a while, just move the wreath around and find your placement. And then you can use this as you would like to kind of give that little bit of whimsical movement in the wreath and attach all your succulents. So boom, 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 you attached all your succulents, and now you have something that looks like this. Okay, let's put this guy back on here. All right, just kind of nestle him in. All right. And the next thing you can do is attach your little ceramic cactus. I think we also gave you a piece of twine for that. It's probably buried under these succulents. Okay. I will double check for a piece of twine for you. The little cactus actually came on a different, it has a brown piece of leather or a black string, and I thought that the twine looked prettier, so you can attach that. And there you go. You're good to go. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, so let's talk care. We talked about the succulent care long term, about how you can take them off and do different things with that. But while you're enjoying this spring, you can take a water bottle and just spritz these. These are going to be happiest in an environment, like if it's on your front door, in an environment that isn't getting blasted with direct heat all the time. So if you can give it a spot where it would get maybe some morning sun, but afternoon shade, or dappled light all day, it will be very happy. If it is in direct sun, then I want you to double check your succulents more often. This is a combination of succulents that can take bright sun and that morning sun, afternoon shade environment. None of these are shade succulents. Okay, so I do expect them all to do really well for you. And there you have it. I think I've covered everything. If for any reason you have any questions, you're not sure about something, please give us a call at the store. We're happy to step you through it. And as you create your project, take some pictures. I would love to see your finished work. We were never meant to be an online store. I enjoy the feedback from having the workshop here and having everybody here. But since you're taking kits home, this is the best we can do, and I would love to see your finished product. So I can't wait to see you again sometime soon in the future.